Well, there's a new push for the Mornington Peninsula to ditch its metropolitan status and be rezoned as a regional community. The Committee for the Mornington Peninsula is behind the move, and I'm pleased to say we're joined by Shannon Smith from the committee. Good afternoon to you, Shannon. Why do you want to see the peninsula rezoned?
So the Committee for Mornington Peninsula commissioned a report to actually understand what does being under a metro designation mean for our community. And what the report highlighted is that the Mornington Peninsula really has many elements of our economy, our land use and population that are really similar to regional areas, more similar to regional than that of metro. And I guess also the report highlighted that the Mornington Peninsula encompasses some of the state's lowest socially disadvantaged pockets, such as Western Port, Hastings, Capel Sound. And so we really wanted to look into those areas and see that really as a community down here on the peninsula, our priority is getting equitable access to funding for our community.
I understand the funding element, but in terms of practical solutions, how would it help the person in the street to change that designation? And would it mean better public transport, for example? I'm just trying to understand that.
Yeah, so it'd be more access to funding. As you said, in public transport, 82% of the Mornington Peninsula do not have access to public transport. Now, when you're in the majority of the Mornington Peninsula, it doesn't look like Metro Melbourne transport system. But we don't have access to then the regional funding. If we were regional, we would have access to some funding to enhance some of that. We look at our hospital systems. Our hospital doesn't have the infrastructure funding. Actually, in regional, they have 3 times per capita the funding of our hospitals in metropolitan Melbourne. When we look at it from comparing our hospitals locally to those in the inner city, the metrics don't stack up to enable us to get some more of that type of funding. So from a community basis, you know, a lot of people think of the Mornington Peninsula from their visit to the Mornington Peninsula. They may drive past some of these pockets of areas that really are socially and economically disadvantaged. But those residents that are living here day in, day out, really need some further funding that needs to come down to the peninsula and really give us our fair share for our community. We've seen significant growth in our population on the Mornington Peninsula during COVID, and our infrastructure is just well behind, compared to compatible areas. In
your view, where should that urban boundary begin and end then?
Well, we're looking at the Mornington Peninsula as being, ultimately, is it regional or is it metro? We're just looking at the economic disadvantage. So our report has really focused on the Mornington Peninsula area.
So that would be, what, Mount Eliza, Frankston, whereabouts would it be?
So that goes just at the designation Shire, so basically going up to Mount Eliza and around the whole Mornington Peninsula area.
Geelong has always been the comparable city, but Geelong seems like it's there's a natural boundary there, and it has its own central business district, and it's actually quite far away. How do you see the two cities or the two areas stack up against each other?
Well, actually, in our study, in our report, actually, we did compare ourselves to Geelong on a lot of on our socio and economic factors. We actually came out on a par with more often than not with Geelong. So, and we're seeing 1% of the funding is going and coming down to the Mornington Peninsula versus in Geelong. You have a student that's in Geelong can actually get some extra studying away from home, so allowances when they're going to university. Someone in Hastings that's going to take them, they may as well start today, jump on the bus today and then the train and try and get to the city, actually gets no funding at all from that perspective. So there is a real difference, and I think that it is this no man's land, as I'm saying. And at the end of the day, is it regional, is it metro? We just need the economic disadvantage to be recognised and to see further funding going down to our peninsula and to some of these pockets that we're really seeing a significant amount of economic disadvantage.
Just finally for us, Shannon, the member for Nepean has suggested the reclassification may put the green wedge at risk of development. What's your response to that?
Well, actually, the member for Nepean has actually refused any briefings with us. He hasn't actually received the report or seen our QC opinion that we actually had one of the state's top planning QCs actually investigate this issue for us. Their opinion is that we will be able to, through legislative change, maintain the green wedge protection, whether we are metro or regional. We welcome a briefing with Mr. Brain, but at this point, despite numerous requests, he has actually refused a briefing with us.
Shannon Smith, thank you very much for your time.
Great. Thanks very much for having me.